And this is where we leave it for the Sunday edition of The Agenda. We thank you so much for being with us over the past 3 hours, but more news and updates continues right here on the channel. And we leave you with this story to ponder on this hour, and that's the story of the former Kenyan High Commissioner to the United Kingdom, Manoah Esipisu, who has cautioned that African leaders cannot turn a blind eye to the voices of the continent's youths. Now, many nations are struggling with record high youth unemployment and widespread poverty, which have some cases triggered social unrest and political instability. Take a look.
To ensure that regional organizations serve their people, you've really got to think about how best to strengthen them. Because organizations are not about their leaders. Organizations are about people. And at every stage, you've got to worry when you think that organizations are diverting from that role. So in the case of the Northern Corridor in East Africa, for instance, covering the distance for truckers from Mombasa to Kigali, to Kampala, that process has had to be made quicker because in the end it's about what is the service to the people. If you think about ECOWAS, for instance, if you're traveling from Lagos to Abidjan, it's strenuous. It's a strenuous journey. Lots of roadblocks, lots of checks, and it's about, are you facilitating the people or not? So you have to worry about what is it we are supposed to do to ensure that they deliver better for their people.
Much as one-stop shops are good, but also you find a situation in some regions and other countries that creates some tension within different countries. I want to make an example of the SADC region, where a country will feel that many people are flocking into that country, while the leaders are thinking of facilitating movements of goods and services. How do you balance the fears of fighting for resources and ensuring that you have a better trade on the continent?
I think it's important to improve the governance. Why is there a big migration flow? That is because of a lack of opportunities in some countries. What causes that lack of opportunities? In some places, it might be that the resources are not fully developed, but in some places, it's because there has been misgovernance, there has been mishandling of the resources available to these countries. So you've got to look internally and ask the question, what can countries do to democratize more, to ensure that their resources are better utilized by their people, and to ensure that there is internal growth. Internal growth ensures that there are jobs for their people, there is better standards of living, there is improved livelihoods, and that will steadily stem the flow of people. But you've got also to ensure that regionally leaders are asking these questions and not just reacting in a knee-jerk reaction, chasing out people. They should be asking, what are you doing to improve the circumstances within your own country so that you are making sufficient provisions for growth and to ensure that your people can reap from the resources within their own space.
The issue of peace and security also becomes an issue at times. How can regional organizations ensure that there is peace and stability in respective regions? Because that will translate into a peaceful continent.
You know, people have to understand that peace is not a one-off event. You don't negotiate peace and then you close shop and go home. It is something you've got to engage with on a daily basis, on a yearly basis. It's like until the end of time. You can't put it on a shelf for once, because that then loosens the momentum and undermines the process. Countries understand that it is imperative to continue to negotiate for peace and to continue to ensure there is predictability around the stability of nations, because you cannot have the right investment and forward thinking if people think that countries are going to wander off into conflict at every turn.
And finally, the young generation on the continent is quite restless. I mean, you look at countries such as Kenya, now Tanzania, and many others, you know, young people out there. How do you deal with problems facing the youth on the continent, because they constitute a large chunk of the population?
I think first you've got to acknowledge that there are challenges and not behave as if these challenges are either foreign invented or don't exist or that they're exaggerated. Number one, acknowledge there are challenges, because that way you can start to look to deal with them. Secondly, I mean, we have to acknowledge the fact that some of the solutions to young people's problems reside within the young people themselves. So I don't know how a 90-year-old president is going to help 30-year-olds if those people are the majority in their country, because they actually don't understand the problem. They don't understand the depth of the problem. So young people have to be asked to show up, to stand up and lead this change from a political stage, because if they play a role, they are not going to be complaining. They will usher in this new generation of leadership that is required to deal with some of their challenges. Thirdly, they've got to also, in terms of leadership, understand that opportunities have to be created. Opportunities are created by the environment governments create. You cannot continue to blame this or that for lack of opportunity when it lies within the government to develop manufacturing, to improve the environment for businesses to thrive. Because if private sector is not thriving, how are you going to make jobs? How are you going to create the wealth required to move the country forward? So they've got to act, because these young people have a genuine case they are making. They are making demands that to some of us sometimes are basic. I mean, if young people are asking for better governance, if they're asking that you fire ministers that are not delivering, if they're asking that you no longer recycle deadwood within the political space, I mean, that can't be difficult. Every person with a good brain can see that that is what you're supposed to do to move the country forward. And our leaders should react to these things in the way, not that they are pleasing young people, but because these things are good for their countries.